Back. Welcome to Optimize AI, another installment. I believe this is episode 12. My name is Ivanlee Jackson. This is my good friend, business partner, and longtime associate, Christopher Lane. We're in the building. Optimize AI, AI for entrepreneurs. Let's get to it. So, for our first segment, previously formerly called Last Week in AI, until last week when we updated it to This Week in AI, or
Weekly AI Brief.
Weekly AI Brief. I feel like This Week in AI, like this Week in AI just has like a certain ring to it, but
we can always change it. It's something. We're going to talk about any news. There actually wasn't much going on this past week. Everything is still being kind of revolving around Google I/O and the OpenAI Spring update, which I will touch on a couple of things that we briefly touched on last week. But I will, we'll chat about them again just because we have some content here. A couple of things that we didn't mention. We spent the week now really digesting everything that we saw last week, so we'll probably have a little bit of a better conversation about it. We can air our grievances about how we don't have any of the cool things yet. And but before we jump into that, I do have one. It's one thing. So Microsoft just announced that they are going to be releasing, or did just release, AI-powered PCs. So the actual PC itself is going to come with AI components built in so that you could do things like coding, content creation. And I believe I didn't read enough about this, and I probably should have before I talked about it on the podcast, but I believe the AI model is going to be using their small language model. So it's actually going to be built in natively into the PC, and they're going to have the video card capable of handling the AI processing power that's needed. So this way you kind of have your own AI built directly into your computer that's local to you in order to help you do your day-to-day tasks. So I thought that was pretty cool. I still won't go buy a Microsoft computer or anything with Windows. I'm going to stick with my Macs, but I thought that was really, really cool.
So I actually did do some research on those computers. I too thought it was pretty cool. And one thing to note is that the chip is a separate chip. So it's going to be the processor, the GPU, the graphics chip.
Right.
And then a third like neural processing chip.
Just the neural chip.
Exactly. That will run the AI. So like theoretically you can actually like play your video games while also running the AI, and both chips are doing, separate things. Microsoft's coming hard, man. Microsoft is coming hard with the AI, with the integration into everything. I think that's a genius move. As we know, Apple's kind of lagging behind, but that's par for course with Apple, right? Like they're not the first to the table with new features, but when they do bring out those features, eventually, they're usually better baked. Right, like Windows, Android, they'll just put it out there quick. Like we have a feature,
they want to be first to market.
Exactly, they're generally first to market. Apple's generally later to market, but when it does come, it's
they always do it better, bigger, better integrated in their ecosystem. This will be like if Apple were to do it, it wouldn't just be your computer. You'd have the AI built in every one of your devices. So if I start a conversation with, Super Siri, as I'll call her, over on my desktop, I could go and continue that conversation on my phone as I walk away from my desk. Like that's the type of crap Apple will bring to the table when they do it.
So the other thing that Windows will have is they'll have on-device AI models, as you mentioned. So they can run it locally, including large language models. You can also do training, vision models, etc., without relying on internet connectivity.
So it's a real good developer computer.
Real good. You can train some of these LLMs. The real key to it all is that dedicated AI acceleration hardware, right? Like they're building the hardware directly into the computer. So from there you can you literally have a chip dedicated to training AI, to running your AI locally, to all that good stuff. So
Right.
yeah, no, it for the first time in a long time, I actually desire a Windows computer for the technology, for the hardware part, right? Like that's something that
Right.
necessarily overcome with a software update, right? To have that dedicated chip built into that computer to where you could start, doing things such as training LLMs like that is groundbreaking.
And they only start at like
And
$1,000 from what I'm seeing here. So it's not even like they're expensive. If Apple were to do this, it would start at $3,500.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, they're starting at only about $1,000.
Well, does Apple have like AI in their chips? Like, doesn't the M1 doesn't that have like a neural processing
There's
unit?
an ML, there is an ML processor built into the silicon chips, yes.
Okay.
But it's like a separate part of of one chip. But to be fair, their chip also has the RAM integrated with like everything's kind of integrated and soldered
Right.
into those to the Apple chips. So they do things slightly differently, but I know this isn't the topic of our podcast. But Microsoft also has other laptops that they're coming out with that are basically aimed to just slam dunk on Apple because they have the new, I think it's like Dragon Core or some crazy sounding new chip
Right.
that is basically the Apple Silicon chips. Just slightly different, obviously enough to not have patent infringement, but very similar processing power to the M chips from Apple.
I'm curious, man. I'm curious to see where it goes, Like, more competition, the better. I'm obviously me and you were Apple guys, so, but I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of desire a Windows PC, and for the first time in a long time, like this isn't something I could, like, before there would be things about Windows that I would like, but I could always just boot it up in boot camp or use parallels and still be able to run a Windows system and get those benefits. Now, it's
Right.
almost like you need a Windows machine if you want that, that dedicated chip, that dedicated hardware that's specifically for training. Like that's a good like left hook by Windows. And they got the partnership with OpenAI. I'm curious how that's gonna work because there's a lot of rumors about Apple and OpenAI integrating into Apple like a Siri and just getting really embedded in
Right.
Apple. But then OpenAI also has that partnership with Microsoft, and Microsoft is a direct competitor of Apple. I guess not necessarily in mobile operating systems, but I don't know. I'm curious to see how that works.
Yeah, I'm sure. I heard the latest news was actually they did strike a deal. So whatever it is, I'm sure their legal department reviewed it and made sure it's not a conflict of interest with their deal with Microsoft and all of that kind of fun stuff. So, yeah, like you said, we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But yeah, now these are they look really cool, but again, not enough for me to go buy one personally. Because if I want an AI computer, I don't want this $1,000 base model. I'm gonna go get a tower. I'm gonna go get those NVIDIA chips that like Facebook and OpenAI are using. Like if I'm gonna have an AI PC, it's
It's
gonna
gonna
be a
be
$5,000 beefy. Like I want to build my own damn model
it's gonna be a
type
whole
of AI
situation.
PC. But that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. This is great for the normal everyday user who really just wants to explore and really get introduced to AI on a more intricate way than just using ChatGPT.
That if you're gonna build a computer, it's gonna be a whole situation.
Oh yeah. But again, I'm a geek. I've been building computers since I was young. I just stopped when Apple doesn't let you do that. And if it wasn't so expensive, I would still build out PCs instead of using like parallels like I use now.
But yeah, man. So what else we got? What else we got?
So that's it. Literally, all the other news has really been revolving around Google I/O last week, as well as the OpenAI Spring update. I don't think anyone dared throw anything else on top of that. So the news cycle has been pretty much revolving around those, and a lot of people were starting to just see a lot more people gripe, like, stop telling us about this cool shit that we can't have yet. Don't say
Yeah,
you're going to roll it out in the coming weeks, or you're only going to give it to this small, tiny, teeny tiny group. In fact, so this other podcast I was listening to, they said they're going to change the name of their podcast to a small, tiny, trusted group of developers. So this way, when OpenAI says they're going to release these products to a small, tiny group of trusted AI trusted developers, they could sue them and say we didn't get it.
Yo, I'm in that group that gripes. Don't tell me something cool is coming later. Like, I don't want to, like, just wait. Just tell me, like at the very least,
Tell me
like
what I can play with right now.
or do like
Or at
Apple
least
does
in a
and
week.
give me an exact date. Give me a date. So like what Apple will do is they'll do their announcement, they'll do their conference, wherever it is. They'll announce like the new operating system or a new phone or whatever it may be.
Like they're gonna do at WWDC in a few weeks.
Yeah, and it'll tell you, okay, a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long from now, this is when it'll be available, right? There's always a launch date. And so like in the world of AI, it's like we're getting real comfortable with like Sora, for example. Oh, we got this cool new technology. You can make videos, and it's amazing and it's awesome, and it'll come out one day soon, maybe eventually. But we're gonna give it to our.
By the time they think about it, they've changed their business model.
We're letting our trusted group of developers test it first, right? It always goes back to that part, right? So like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, give me a launch date. Let me plan accordingly. Like, otherwise, you're just showing me stuff that might come out cool eventually in the future, but who knows when.
Exactly, especially from something that you could historically get. Like when they showed you, the first like GPT-3, when they showed you Chat GPT for the first time, you could go sign up for Chat GPT right then and there. And I get like they've announced, for Omni, Google announced their 1.5, which had already been out 1.5 Pro anyway. So and yeah, you can go use those, and it's exciting. For Omni is really, really, really good. I've been having a great experience. It's been my daily driver for everything except coding. Coding, I am still over at Claude Opus. It is far superior in coding and just understanding what I need in the coding than even for Omni is.
So let me ask you something.
Don't show that other crap.
Let me ask you something, because I read about this and I thought it would be a good thing to chop up on this podcast. So with Chat GPT 4.0, one of the features 4.0.
There's no dot in there. 4.0 for Omni.
Yeah. So with Chat GPT 4.0, one of the features is it has the ability not only to be more emotional and live in a sense when communicating with you, the user, it also has the ability to understand and perceive your emotions, both visually, audibly, and just in context with the words and what you're communicating, right? So it can see like if you have a frown on your face, it can see.
And from what they tell me, it can absolutely do that. Again, it's one of those, we can't play with that piece of the model, so who knows if it works.
Yeah, but we've also tried it with Humane, and we've tried it with, so we know where it's going, right? We know the concept,
right.
To accomplish, like, so to bring it back with 4.0, we now have AI that can read your emotions, that can understand how you're feeling, at any given time while you're communicating with it. One of the implications of that is that, think how Facebook makes money, right? Just having data, knowing like what you're searching for, knowing, things that you post about you're interested in, or how Google makes money, right? Like, with that level of data in terms of what you're actually looking for, it makes it so much easier for people who are marketing things to people to tap into that data that Google already has and put products in front of people who might potentially be interested in those products based on prior search and behavior history online. But now think about with the AI understanding and being able to perceive and really comprehend your emotions, right? Now, as a marketer, if you're able to tap into people and reach out to people based on how they're feeling emotionally at certain times, right? Like let's say you have you
Target
sell
people who were sad recently.
yeah, you sell a meditation course or a Zen course, and you have a database of people who are stressed out or who are showing like they really need, like they're just like they need that Zen course, right? It opens up a whole new level of marketing based on data that sure technology could get to a degree based on what you're searching, but it was only comprehending it based off of a textual input,
It was
right?
kind of
Like,
guessing.
yeah,
At
it sees what
best.
you're searching, but you might be searching for your friend, you might be searching for a loved one, right? But it can see that
Right,
you're searching
right.
versus like now it's getting first-hand information based on what you're saying to it, what you're speaking to it, what it's visually seeing off of you from you. For example,
Right, because you
let's
can
say
be
you have a
saying
lot of
happy
acne,
things, but
or let's just say
like
like you have
miserable behind camera.
or let's say something on another exactly, or let's say like for example you're talking about whatever it is you're talking about, right? You're getting tutoring for a homework problem, but it happens to see that you also have a lot of acne. Now you don't have to say anything about this acne to the AI. You don't have to, you get what I mean? But now it already knows, and now from a marketing standpoint, so just understanding how much more intelligent these AI models are, especially the multimodality aspect of it, how much more information it can take in about you, and then how much that information can be leveraged in terms of helping people reach you and whatnot. I just want to throw that out there for discussion because I read that and it really had me thinking like, all right, man, this like.
I honestly hadn't even thought of that use case yet. As you know, we've been really busy, so I hadn't even thought of that use case yet. But not only how you're feeling and how you're doing, but because you're going to be doing a lot more video and quintessentially OpenAI has access to and could sell that data based on whatever their terms and conditions say. It could see that I have like a camera in the background that's kind of old. So that, since the AI can detect everything that's in frame with me, it could say like, hey, let's recommend newer cameras. I see that the one in that frame is really old, or I see X, like, so it's not even just you at that point. It's your entire environment that you give it access to as you're using the video modes on these AI models. So that's actually it's a really good use case. I don't know if I like it, but I don't also, the only way to stop it, and probably the way I'll now use all of these functions because of that thought, is once the voice and the video and all of that are built into the API so that developers can access it, I'm going to build it into our tool suite, and I will be only using it because all of the data from our tool suite is not accessible by OpenAI for their training data or for their use because we pay for that. So I will only be using those features within our tool suite so that it is private from OpenAI and they can't do that crap.
Or you can get like a little clean room, like a sanitary room, where it's just like no devices, all white walls, nothing around you. Wear like a COVID mask, maybe. Yeah, man. Like
No, but you know what? I could do that to test it where I'll only use like the version that's on Chat GPT on the app itself in a very staged environment. So I'm basically forcing it to have specific data and just see if I start getting ads and marketing around what was used in those videos.
Like a
Kind
clean
of see if I
environment.
can trick it, and then go use the API and the safe version in the optimized AI tool suite for everything else. When
Like
I'm
a
just going to
clean
be walking
environment with just
around
like
talking, whatever.
a clean environment, but your old camera just happens to be right here.
Right,
All of a sudden you start
exactly.
seeing
Or like,
like little things on Google, like need an upgrade. Time to
or I'll
upgrade
say
your
like
camera.
happy things. Like I'll talk about happy things, but I'll do it with like a a very sad face. Like, so I was very excited today that we went and did this. I'm going to do it to frown the whole time and see if
It's
I
gonna be
start
so
getting like,
confused.
here's Xanax. Have you tried Xanax today?
Also, you're gonna get ads for bipolarity or whatever. Bipolar. Any suffering symptoms of
Do you have
bipolarity?
bipolar disorder? Find out here with this survey.
But now it's crazy,
Or it'll
man,
just,
because it's
or
like
Or the AI will catch on it and be like, "Are you trying to trick me or something? What are you doing? Why are you frowning but saying such happy things?"
And so that's the thing. That's the crux with artificial intelligence, with technology as a whole, right? The more we rely on it, the more information that we give it, both about ourselves individually, as well as, what it is we're trying to accomplish, our businesses, our missions, our purposes, et cetera, the more core information it has about you, which technically can be leveraged to people try to sell you things, or who profit off of leveraging that information. So even think about, like, right, we talk about Jarvis all the time, right? How cool it would be to have like a ongoing round the clock personal assistant that's integrated into everything, right? Think like what ChatGPT
like Jarvis
is doing with 4.0, but like better, right? So all I gotta do is hit a button on my phone, and a hologram pops up, and it can see and hear and understand everything in context, just like 4.0, but it's like that
would
right?
be really cool.
Really
and
cool.
now I'm thinking Master Chief, Cortana from the Halo series,
right?
like
so
that little like hologram version of the AI.
That's what I'm thinking, exactly. Not, but here's the thing though. So right, understand how cool that is, right? This hologram can somehow see and understand everything around it, right? It's plugged into your computer, so it can see what you're seeing on your computer screen. It can see your surroundings. It can understand your emotions. You can see you, right? So now, at a core level, it understands your mission. So you're using this one AI, or there's one assistant for everything, right? So like as you're brainstorming ideas for your business, or for your project, or to be a better dad, or family vacation ideas, or whatever it may be, all of this information it's now collecting about you, right? So like, as cool as Jarvis would be, think about how much Jarvis would know about you. Like, I wonder, is Jarvis, what's the word? Can Jarvis testify against you? You get what I'm saying?
That's a really interesting point. Like, if you're sharing all of this information, you might confess something. Actually, I don't know if it was a TikTok or if I read an article about it. This guy was testing, it was actually Meta AI. It was Llama, but through like Meta.ai, like through their online portal. And it said that, and basically the story went that the guy wanted to test something. So he told Meta AI that he wanted to confess something to it, but it had to keep it a secret. And he said he basically confessed to the AI that he murdered somebody and he hid it, and it's been bothering him for a really long time. And Meta AI alerted the authorities. So,
wow.
But now, but that stands to reason. Can that confession? I mean, I don't. I think the guy was. I'm hoping so, because he was talking about it freely. So I'm assuming he didn't actually kill somebody, but he wanted to test and see, or unalive somebody. All these algorithms hate the word kill, so unalive. But anyway, it was testing it out, and it alerted the authorities, but like OpenAI didn't. But then it stands to reason, to your point, is his confession to the AI that he typed in, is that submissible in court?
Yeah, because searches would be, right? Searches are
right. Your search history, browser history, like if you get a warrant for it, all of that is submissible. So,
and then think like, because they have rules like where if you, like, your wife can't testify against you, a husband can't testify against their wife, right?
Right, because they know more like intimate details about you, or so that things like that, or what
think about the AI. If you have a Jarvis, if we have a Jarvis, or even just ChatGPT 4.0, where the whole multimodality part aspect of it, you have that running, pretty much all day and helping you with everything. If you're using it the way they would want you to use it, the way we want to use it, think about just how much information this thing has on you, from like start to finish.
Even just
Like
to do
the more
criminal
you
profiling, like finding people using all that AI data, be like, all right, we're looking for a suspect that XY has XY, blah, 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 traits and characteristics. And then if you had access to that OpenAI data, or they issued a warrant or a subpoena to OpenAI to provide that data, they could just profile everybody immediately with all the information they'd have on you and be able to get a really probably decently narrowed down list of people in that area with that XY, with all of the characteristics that they're looking for
right.
pretty freaking quickly.
Yeah. And even think like just in terms of like, remember back in the day, not back in the day, but I'm trying to date myself or date us, but you remember like the one of the big concerns was face scanning, and like, oh, people are like face scanning and all that. But now think about this: if everyone opens up the free version of Chat GPT, has a quick conversation with your AI assistant, I mean, it's looking at your face. It
Exactly
remembers things, it remembers who you are and all that. So like, is that not face scanning? Is our face not being now scanned? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and you're voluntarily giving all that information to OpenAI or Google or whoever it is, whatever system you happen to be using.
Yeah, so that's just that's just an interesting crux with technology. Now, I'm one of those guys where I've just totally given.
I mean, anyone that opens their phone with Face ID like I do, I voluntarily give. I guess technically that's all on device, though. That's not sent to Apple specifically.
No, man. I mean, like I said, just as a whole, that's always been kind of the crux with technology, right? Like to use Facebook, to use social media, to really get the most out of it, you kind of have to invest into it, and you do give up some of your solitude just by nature,
privacy,
tapping into a connected technical digital world, right? Like if you want perfect solitude to be off the grid, you got to go move to Wyoming and not have any internet around you and not have any devices. And you know what I mean?
And get an old flip phone, burner phone with no plan.
Yeah, I'm the opposite of that. I want all the internet, all the technology. When I do get,
I'm not doing anything like wrong that would be something where I'd have to hide anything. And I think we had a conversation about this. I believe it was on one of the podcasts where we just talked about like I want personalized ads. Like I want
tailored
ads for things, I want things that are relevant to me. Like I don't need to see tampon ads. That's not for me. So, but I do want to see ads about the new Apple products. I want to see ads about new AI tools. So I like the personalization.
I want the AI to be so good. Like I'm sitting there talking to it. It can see my sense of style. If it happens to see something on
suggest new clothing
that I might wear, I might wear, like suggest exactly. I want my AI to be like, but that's how technology goes, right? Like even if it's your wife or your friend can't help you dress better if they don't know how you're dressing now or what you look like. So the more information that you give your friend or your wife or whatever it is in terms of like, hey, human or personal stylist, whatever it is, right? Whatever information you give that person, the more they have to work from, the more they can start putting things together, right? They got to know your skin color to know what colors might fit you. They got to know your style. Right? So it's like, that's how technology works. So for the AI to really help you dress and all that, it has to look at you, it has to see you, you have to give all this information to it. But
it's an interesting use case. I wonder if once we get that vision model, maybe I'll build that out. Shouldn't be that difficult once we have access to the vision model in the API.
What's that, personal assistant?
Well, this new vision model at any rate, the video vision.
Well, personal stylist.
Yeah, virtual stylist. Cool. That's a pretty interesting use case.
That wasn't pretty cool. As I was saying that, I was like, oh, I kind of would want that. And then like he goes,
I know Amazon has something kind of like that, but it's not really using AI. I think it's just more using some sort of algorithm.
Yeah.
Based on like search history and stuff. And that's a pretty cool use case. I may build that just for a funzy thing. I don't know. That's not even something we would sell, or just, hey, new company. Just for that specific use case.
No, I think that was a good idea. A little personal style.
By the way, we said it first. There's a built-in. You can't have that. Anyone listening? We said it.
All right.
It's
So
on record.
that wraps up our very loosely put together first segment this week in AI. We're going to move on to the mystery segment. The mystery segment is not really a mystery to you. It's I've been raving about it for the last 15 hours since I personally discovered it. We're going to talk about Perplexity. Perplexity and the Arc browser, but more so Perplexity. So for those that don't know, Perplexity is a AI centric search engine. I came across it yesterday while looking for a new web browser. I was just looking. Someone recommended Arc to me. Arc is a new web browser that's also somewhat AI centric. It's very future forward in terms of the layout. It's built on top of Google Chrome, or It's built on top of the Chromium web browser experience.
Yeah, Chromium framework.
And one of the features is that it's powered, or you can choose to have it powered. No, you can choose your different search engine options. So like Google or Bing or whatever, Yahoo. So you can choose to power it by a search engine that I had just heard about yesterday for the first time, called Perplexity. And let me tell y'all, Perplexity AI is phenomenal for a couple of reasons. One, it's free. You can do unlimited quick searches. Think for me with AI, with technology as a whole, the main goal is to eliminate certain steps in your workflow and in regular everyday workflows. And for a lot of us, no matter what it is you do, when you go on the internet to find some information or find a product or research whatnot, you go to Google and you type in whatever it is you're looking for. So let's say you want to learn about when is the next solar eclipse, right? And you put it into Google, and Google will start giving you a bunch of links to other people's websites, to links to videos on YouTube. Very rarely does it answer the question directly, right? For the most part, it takes you in links to other people's websites where they'll give you their answer. So the process for me when I was doing research, right? If I want to look how to put together a good marketing plan, I search it in Google. I see a bunch of different videos and pod or blogs. I click into it. I skim it. I go to the next one, click, skim, right? That's my workflow. With Perplexity is an AI, a search engine AI that actually will do that research for you. So if I Google the same exact thing, how to put together a good marketing plan, Perplexity is going to search all these different websites and what's out there on the internet. And then it's going to, also watch some YouTube videos and understand what they're teaching. And then it's going to take all this information that it finds and summarize it into a very detailed answer, while also giving citations back to where it got that source, where it got that information. So for me, it literally eliminates a big chunk of that research time, being that I don't have to now click into all these different websites and skim through each one of these websites to get to this information. So you can give you an example how I use it today. My wife, my 6-year-old started doing this little weird tick, right? And he starts going like the little weird vocal tick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I saw my wife Googling what causes a 6-year-old to do a vocal tick. And then she got a bunch of different links to like WebMD and all this. And then, same project, you got to click it, you got to scroll down. So then I went same phone on my phone, and I just, in Perplexity, searched for the same exact thing. Perplexity searches WebMD, searches all these other websites, and then literally just gave me that information in a nice, concise bullet point list right then and there. So it literally saved me the process of having to click and skim and browse through it myself. I think Perplexity is a phenomenal bit of AI that, again, it's free. Most people should definitely try it out, especially when researching and searching through the internet. I know we have something similar to this in Optimized AI Tool Suite with our research assistant. Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to say. Once you were done, our research assistant works very, very similar to the way Perplexity works. It's just programmed to give you more research-based answer. So good for exactly kind of like your use case there. Case studies again, on certain things, but it works very similar to the way that this works.
Yeah.
I'll let you finish up because I actually have two things to talk about that pertain to Perplexity.
Well, no, that was it, man. So the AI isn't as good in terms of like the actual the free version. So it's good in terms of because they basically they program Perplexity off of GPT 3.5 and 4, but it's more so tailored for search queries. So like you can use it to, hey, put together an email campaign or put together an email for me or create some content. You can use it for that. It's okay. It's not as good as 4.0 or 4 for that matter.
Right.
Claude for that matter.
It's meant to search.
It's meant to search, exactly. But when it comes to that search ability and just searching with that AI spin and breaking it down, it does that very well. I haven't used Google since I found it. That's my breakdown.
No, again, I've used Perplexity. Actually, I have it open right now, mainly because I'm playing with the Arc browser that you put me onto last night. So Perplexity may find themselves in trouble because two reasons. One, and now I don't know if this is a wide rollout or if it's only to select users, but for me, when I go to Google, if I type something in, I now get an AI summary above all other search results. And then with cited sources and everything, similar to the way you see in Perplexity, and then all of the normal Google search results underneath it. Again, now I don't know if that's a limited rollout to select users or if it is
I get that
as well.
Yet. I get that as well, but it's not anywhere near as detailed or useful.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Definitely not nearly as detailed, but they're just starting to roll it out. But that's not really where Perplexity may be in trouble. The rumor is OpenAI is developing their own search engine. So if OpenAI comes out with their own search engine, they're going to have obviously like something like Perplexity, unless they have their very own model, which, like you said, I think it uses GPT. I think it uses OpenAI. OpenAI is going to be able to do whatever Perplexity does better because they have that back door into their own models and may even be able to train or build a custom like GPT-4S for search that is only built for searching.
So two thoughts. One, with Perplexity, they have a pro version, which I believe is like $20 a month. And with that version,
yeah, I just saw that.
With that version, you can actually use all the top AI models. So you can use GPT 4.0, 4.0, Claude.
Okay, so you can select your model on the pro version.
Right. But also the thing I like about Perplexity as well, it's almost like a custom GPT in the sense that the follow-up questions. I think they call this feature Copilot, not to be confused with Microsoft Copilot.
Right. Yeah. It says like right at the bottom, like ask a follow-up. I see that.
Yeah. Ask a follow-up and it'll give you related questions, for example. So like if I ask like what's new in the AI world, it'll give me like what's new in the AI world in a very detailed summary, but then it'll also like give me like, related, it'll kind of guide me through that experience. So something I did when building, Panther AI, and we did it in a couple of the tools in AI, a couple of the assistants in the AI tool suite where where the AI not only is it going to take your input, so you say how I want to do this and that, it'll break down, okay, to get started, let's do this and that, and then it'll give you suggestions on the most efficient next step, right? I like AI that like kind of takes your hand and walks you through the process, because let's face it, most of the time we're not necessarily experts in any of these topics that we're researching, right? That's why we're researching it. And a lot of times the biggest failure in terms of learning is you don't know what you don't know and what you need to actually learn about what it is you're trying to learn. For example,
Right.
if I want to learn how to be a pitcher, I don't necessarily know. I can Google or Perplexity how to be a pitcher, but I don't necessarily know like which one should I start doing first. What are the necessarily stretches I should do before I go to attempt the first thing that that Google says in terms of throwing the first pitch.
Right.
Maybe I should things to do before throwing your first pitch. Yeah, probably should stretch and rotate your arm a little bit, and you know what I mean. So like that's where the AI really comes in handy, I believe, in terms of like helping plug in those gaps and letting you know things that you necessarily don't know but should know before while researching whatever it is that you're researching.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, it definitely does it really well, and I also think by having that follow up, it allows for what I'm going to call not just me, but it's a term that's getting thrown around a lot lately because it's lazy prompting. Lazy searching. So I know, like when I search Google, like if I want to know, just for instance, I won't type out like, when does the new OpenAI voice feature become available to the public? I type in OpenAI voice when ?
Right.
And that's how I search Google. And so by being able to ask follow-up questions, if you get information that's like, if I do that, I'm going, all right, now I have to think of a better way to ask the question. Whereas this, I gotta be like, no, that's not what I meant. It's a lot more conversational than having to continue to research and requery from the get-go. Because it probably got all the right information in the first search. It just needs to look in different areas as you ask those follow-up questions. And the newer models, obviously, like 4.0 is gonna be able to do that and understand that lazy prompt a lot better, because that's one of the things that these newer models are kind of built for. And it's something that I find myself very, very guilty of. I know, like we'll talk about prompt engineering and how to build that perfect prompt.
Right.
But nowadays, like if especially using like 4.0, or if I'm using Opus, I don't prompt anything. I don't follow any of our own advice. I don't follow my own advice. I don't follow your advice. I literally just say, need help with a marketing plan, or we'll use a marketing plan as an example. I need you to help me build a marketing plan. Here's all the details. Enter.
Yeah, see,
I don't prep it. I don't give it a pride. I don't do any of those things. And I'm getting phenomenal results without the need, because these newer models are kind of built for that lazy prompting, because not everyone is or should need to be a prompt engineer.
So I take it a step further. I actually noticed what you're saying in terms of lazy prompting and getting those results. For me,
yeah, it's kind of a tangent subject to what we were doing to Perplexity, but
no, but that's cool, because like for me, like what I do is I try to take it. My mind always goes to, okay, I see what you can do if I give you a lazy prompt. Imagine what I can do now if I actually like really put some energy into it. And a lot of times for me, really to dig down and like really use AI, I'm working on a project, right? So for like my most recent project that we've both been working on, which we can't wait to announce. Do everything I can to bite my tongue right now.
We won't announce it right this second, but I think once we're done with this topic, I think we just talk a little bit about what that project is, when people could start seeing more about that project. I think we could spend like 10 minutes talking about it, I think.
Cool. So working on that project, one of the things I really like about when I use AI is I don't want to like tell it. I don't want to speak to it twice. I don't want to tell it things over and over and over again. I don't want to necessarily like I want to get that first prompt out of the way, get as much information to the AI as humanly possible. You said that, right? Like, here's all the details. It's that key part right there. Here's all the details. And then I want to prompt it to remember all those details. And then I wanted to like, you get what I mean? Like I wanted to know about what it is I'm trying to accomplish. And like, I really, if I, it's like a human employee. If I see I can give this human employee less information and he or she still does a good job, then I'm going to be like, oh man, well, if I give you more information, you're going to knock it out the park. Right?
Yeah.
So let me just give you more information so you can knock it out the park. And that's what I've been doing with through our tool suite, which is powered through 4.40, through our assistants. I've been kind of basically gave it all the information about what it is we're planning, and you know all the details as that we had baked out up until then. And kind of just fed it this one huge master prompt. And from there, like everything has been so easy, so efficient in terms of putting together like emails, putting together marketing material, for this particular project because of those first few foundational prompts.
Right. So actually what I've been doing to continue on with my laziness and not having to retype, because I'll jump models. Like I'll like, if I'm not getting exactly the results I want, or I need to like start over because the thread got so long it's starting to forget things based on the context window. So what I'll do is I'll write that whole big first prompt where like all the details. So like all of the project details I'll put, but what I'll do is I'll either write it in a text note, or I'll copy and paste that info into a text note. So the next one, so let's say I start with GPT-4o and I'm talking blah, 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 and I copy that info into a text note. Now I want to go see what Opus has to say about the same thing. Or if I need to start a new thread on ChatGPT for some reason, I just upload the text note and say, here's all the info. Now I never have to retype it. I've typed it beautifully once, and I just keep sending that same text file to all the different AIs or to the different chat threads, so that it kind of basically builds in the memory. And every now and then through the chat thread, I'll say, from my initial prompt, give me a summary update of what's been added to the memory. And it'll spit out a summary, and I'll add that into the text document. So now it's kind of like I have a little chunk of the AI memory over here that I can just upload to different models, to different chats, to different things. So I don't have to keep doing that crap again. Because again, laziness.
No, that's a hack. That's a real life hack, man. Like write down that information once. Like
outside of that window, yeah.
If I and then that was advice. So one of the first things I did when I got my hands on AI was I put together a book on AI. And this was like ChatGPT 3.5. It didn't have memory. Writing long forms of text was hard. So I put a whole book out.
Yeah. Continue. There
was a lot of tricks I had to learn. One of the main tricks was once I found the perfect prompt to get the perfect content or chapters or outline of the book, I stored that prompt into like a note somewhere, like in a text.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My Apple Notes is full of notes. It's like this type of prompt, this type of prompt.
Yeah.
I don't use any of them anymore.
Once I had the core of the book, the outline of the book and the chapters and all that, I stored that somewhere because, the memory might slip, might forget. So then being able to just quickly copy and paste that. So let's say like it starts hallucinating, or I want to pick up the book, in a new thread or whatever, I can easily just get that first prompt, copy and paste it. Boom! Now it knows what it's doing, what the book's about. Then I can copy and paste those, the content, the chapters, the outline of the book. Boom! Now I have the outline. Now building off of that, it becomes so much more easier. So now making that little folder or having like a little, whether you store it in words or pages or notes somewhere, little text, just somewhere have these little prompts, and also tell the AI about you. Right. So like
100%.
Yeah. Tell the like in all these different AI. So in Optimized AI Tool Suite, we have like 2 sections where you can tell it about yourself, your business, your bio. So now when you start speaking with the AI and using the AI, it doesn't have to, if you say, hey, I want to put together an email campaign, or I need to come up with some ideas on how to make some money, and it knows that you're an entrepreneur in this field, in this particular field, it's going to give you ideas based around your lane, your industry. You don't have to tell it all this stuff. It already knows it. Same thing with ChatGPT, same thing with Perplexity, like all these different AIs, there's usually a section somewhere where you can give it some information about you, and it just makes using it going forward after that much more efficient.
100%. Yeah, and being able and just keeping that memory kind of external to that thread, because like even using like Claude Opus, that has 128,000 context window. GPT-4o has 128,000 context window. So at Opus, it'll actually, as you get deeper into a thread, because I use Opus a lot for coding. So one big coding chunk could be, massive as a part of that context window. And it'll actually tell you like, hey, this conversation's getting a little long. You might start to get some wonky answers. Things might not remember things. Do you want to move to, a new chat session? And a lot of times it's like, no, you have the memory in here. You know what we've been talking about. I want to keep using this one. The only one that really has a decent size, not decent size, like a really good context window is Google Gemini Pro 1.5. The only problem is that model is, I mean, Google normally does really, really good, and their demos are always really, really good, but actually using the models, it's trash. It's the nicest way I can say it. It's the only model that I've never actually used for longer than some testing prompts. I've never really gotten anything great out of it, not from coding, not from content generation. Like, it hallucinates way more than every other model. I mean, I didn't mean this to turn into a bash Google. But one thing I really, really like about the Gemini model is just that really, really, really large context window. So I'm hoping that Anthropic and OpenAI kind of get with that and can put out those context windows, larger context windows, because Google Gemini Pro can do, now they have a 2 million context window for if they're, small group of trusted developers can access a 2 million token context window. So it can watch hours and hours of video and then chat about it all in that same thread. But yeah, making sure that you keep like that base information. And if you don't have something, if you're not using the optimized AI tool suite or the paid version, actually, I think even the free version now of ChatGPT, you can give it your like a little bit about you and some base instructions. But if not, just keeping that little text document with a couple of, that little about you blurb, that little, a couple of different prompts that you're going to use on hand makes it way, way easier and faster as you're going into these different chats, trying out these different models. And it lets you really compare them a lot better too, because you could take the same thing that you fed OpenAI and go feed it to Google, go feed it to Llama, go feed it to Opus. Again, that may be just I'm a geek type of use case, but really anyone who's heavily playing with AI at this moment in time is probably closer to being a geek like us that really likes AI and technology than your normal everyday, average Joe. So, and I kind of went on 3 different tangents in that one little monologue there, but there's
all good,
that.
Man. All good, all good.
My ADHD brain just kept changing thoughts and direction.
So,
but speaking of geeks,
man, we got something extremely exciting to announce. We're putting together an event end of June in celebration of artificial intelligence. We're calling it AI Geek Week. It will run from June 24th to the 28th, I believe. It's a free virtual event spanning 1 week, multiple live sessions per day. We'll be diving deep into the world of AI. You'll learn how to harness its power for your business and personal use. This is going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of information, a lot of just us geeking out with special guests regarding artificial intelligence, whether it's for entrepreneurial use cases, personal use cases. We're going to delve into a little bit of NSFW use cases.
Yes, we are.
OpenAI is doing it. They're actively working into collaborating with porn and whatnot. So who are we not to digging into it as well? We're for the people. Give y'all some of the highlights. Day 1, we're gonna be talking about like AI Unleashed. Day 2, I don't want to go too deep, but we're gonna be
we'll have more information for you guys by next week. By next week, you'll also be able to sign up. Remember, it is free. So literally, if once you sign up too, if you can't make one of the live sessions, they're all going to be available on replay. So you could definitely check it out. Even if you can't be there when we're doing these different live sessions, different roundtables, special guests, and we're just going to be geeking out over AI, kind of like what Ivan and I did today. We didn't really have a main premise of this, but we just geeked out over AI. So really being able to do that as a community. Just let some of you guys come up on stage with us on our virtual stage, share your input for, learn how different industries are utilizing AI, just really just geek out over AI and really celebrate how far we've come in just a few short years from when AI really, really hit the mainstream. So I definitely do not think anyone who's listening to this podcast should miss it. Especially like if you're listening to this, that this is gonna be exactly made for you guys. So
there'll be hands-on sessions, interactive roundtables with AI experts such as myself and Chris, and some of our friends and other people within the industry. Bonus handouts, cheat sheets with prompts and other resources.
you get a bunch of free stuff. Yeah.
Opportunities to network with others within, other entrepreneurs and AI enthusiasts, and free access to try out advanced AI models and tools. We're going to be putting you on to all the different cool AI tools that we use, both, again, entrepreneurially, individually, personally. And we're just going to be putting you on to all the different cool AI tools that we use to become AI ninjas. So more information will be coming out next week. Sign up should be, you'll be able to get your access to your free tickets next week. But until then,
I think that's it. Yeah, I got nothing else. Like, share, follow. You definitely want to do that. The more followers, the more likes, the more love we get, the more excited it makes us to keep doing these episodes. So please like, share, follow, let everybody watch our wonderful podcast, or listen to, depending on how you're consuming this content. Like eating my microphone.
So that's a wrap. Episode 12, AI for Entrepreneurs. Another one in the books. We'll see you next week for episode 13. And the formal introduction of AI Geek Week. Stay tuned. Peace.
Yes.